What's very fascinating is that usually fear is the strongest motivator for discipline in people. Like the fear of, for example, not achieving forces people to be disciplined, or, as you mentioned, for example, the behavior of the children. Sometimes the fear either stops them from thinking or speaking up or taking an action because they have this fear of maybe being blocked or the fear of being punished on doing something, which somehow blocks their, let's say, capacity to create maybe or think in a certain manner because the environment does not allow them to. So somehow, I mean, coming to the success, let's say, discussion and how people can be successful in life, sometimes this can be counterintuitive because the fear of overthinking or the fear of innovating or the fear of liberty of speech would suppress someone from creating something. What do you think?
Um, Jay, do you want to go first?
No, you go first. Let me think about my answer. So you think fear is limiting their goals, right?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and no. I think it depends on obviously the person and how we're raised. With Angel, she's a very disciplined kid, but we're not like making her scared. I know, well, me as a mum, I'm not making her scared because obviously I know how it is being scared of a parent. You know, like there's a degree, as you said, as Reza said, you need to be assertive. Like if she's done something wrong, she will learn about it in a way, but it's not going to be. I'm not going to get my slipper off, you know, and be like, hey, you know, naughty. She would just. Sometimes you've got to let the kid cry it out, and then they'll realise, and you explain to them why you do this and you don't do this. Like fear, I mean, like yesterday, okay, I was asked to do something which is really out of my comfort zone in a way. I was scared, but then it didn't stop me from doing it because I was also excited. Again, it depends on the opportunities that arise for us. So if someone gave you an opportunity to be on TV, but it's not your forte, let's say, and you have that fear of doing it, but you want to do it, or if you chose to do it yourself, or you didn't have the opportunity to do it, and you didn't have the resources to do it, would you take that step out of that comfort zone to do it because you're scared? So it's easier when we have someone that asks us to do something than when we do it ourselves. So that's where I think where fear can come in as well, is if we choose to do something ourselves or if we get the opportunity to do it by someone else. It's like someone giving you something, or you can give it to you yourself. Like I said, we choose to create the outcome. If our fear is stopping us from doing what we really want to do, then you know, it does happen.
Your point.
Yeah. And of course, fear is a factor, but it depends. Like, for example, reaction to a reaction. So, for example, I go through a situation where I am feeling fearful. That is my first reaction. Now, how I react to that fear, to that initial reaction, do I channel it into a positive way? Do I motivate myself? Do I make that fire burn brighter? And I go do something about that fear? Or I cower away and I run away? So the reaction to the initial reaction matters a lot. So, for example, you can feel. Let's say we're sitting in a professional environment and you hear amazing news. You've heard the news. Inside you, you're extremely happy, but your initial reaction would just be a smile. But inside, you're heart is blowing out and you're happy. But because you maintain the decorum of the environment, your initial reaction is something totally different. You maintain your composure. So how you react to the initial reaction matters a lot. For example, let's say you hear a tragedy, but at the same time, you are somebody who we've heard this about a lot of athletes and stuff like that. For example, Cristiano Ronaldo, his mother passed away, but he was still playing a football match and he performed well. Same thing with Virat Kohli. He's a great cricketer. He's become one of the greats of the game. And when he was very young, his dad passed away while he was on the field playing cricket. He did not leave and go. He finished the game and then he went out and he was like, "Yes, coach, I have to go because this happened." And everybody was shocked. They were like, "Why did you not say anything?" And even though going through that tragedy, able to perform under immense pressure. So you see the reaction to the initial reaction plays a big role. Like I can hear something and I can start breaking down. And who's going to take care of people around you? For example, tomorrow, God forbid, some bad news Jade hears. Is she going to feel sad in front of Angel? I highly doubt that. She would still keep that energy up. She would still keep that composure. She would keep that smile on her face. She would take it on her chin and be like, "Yeah, sweetheart, all good." So you see, initial reaction. So fear, yes, fear is a leading factor. It can make or break you. So it's that simple. So you decide you want to make or break. So you decide how you challenge or you take on that initial fear. For example, I had a fear of speaking, public speaking, uh, massive fear. But at the same time, when I was young, I was cricket team captain, football team captain. So I was already talking to people, but not necessarily public speaking. It was until England when I came to one of my lecturers, and he taught me and he instilled in me how to give presentations and stuff. And I had actually flunked the first semester. And then he told me, like, Rez, see, listen, you can speak, you know how to speak, blah blah blah. Practice, practice. And I used to feel I still remember the first time when I was giving a presentation, I had the placards in my hand. My hands were trembling in front of my own classmates. My hands were trembling and my voice was stuttering. And I was just trying to zip through the presentation, which was supposed to be a 5 minute presentation. I finished it in 2.5 minutes because I was talking so fast, so fast. I was feeling so scared inside me that people might judge me. Man, what are these guys going to think? That I don't have knowledge on the topic. So many things. But then I went home and then I actually did what he used to tell us. I wrote down everything on the placards, looked at the mirror in the washroom, and started talking and started facing myself. Initially, I thought that, what is this? I'm being so stupid or foolish. 3 months later, I gave a brilliant presentation. I learned how to face myself. I learned how to talk. I learned how to space the lines. So you need to sort of start breaking things down in your mind, how you're going to go through it. And fear will play a big role. And it's a good thing. You should be fearful because if you're not fearful, you're stupid. You will take a lot of foolish decisions. Fear can actually clarify a lot of things. It can give you a reality check that how much in water you are, how ready you are to take on a task. And then the same fear, either it will give you an adrenaline rush that, okay, I can do this, or it will tell you that no. And then obviously the second side of the same coin is that you have to gauge the situation. Like, for example, a recent interview, Zlatan Ibrahimovic was on an interview with Piers Morgan. And he goes like, "I feel like God when I step on the field." Okay. And that mentality that I feel like God. But if I step into the ring with Fedor Emelianenko, he's probably going to knock me out. But in my mind, I think that I can. But the fact of the matter is, I can't knock him out. So you need to gauge the situation. You need to understand that, okay, I have a positive mentality. How am I going to go through this? I'm feeling fearful. I'm feeling scared. I might not be able to do it. However, but the moment you choose to try to do it, you're already ahead of the game from so many people. Like, for example, when Jade probably did her competition, I'm sure she was feeling scared the first time. She was like, you know what? But then she was like, you know what? Let's do it. Doesn't matter. And she did it. And then after that, if she wanted to stand a second time, it was just like, peanuts. It's all right. I already know the experience. I've felt that fear before. I've had that gut feeling before. And this time I'll be able to navigate it much better.
Actually, my
Did you
first
feel that
show, I
way?
didn't win anything, so it didn't stop me. But
There we go.
it's always scary every time you do
Now
it. You're
see,
stepping on stage like in a bikini. I mean, anything could happen in heels. Like,
and then, so she, now look at her. So she felt the fear, but she still did it regardless of the outcome. Now, many people might think of the outcome and stop them. Like, oh, now see, managing expectations. It's the first time they're going in and their expectations are already either too high or either too low. You have to manage those expectations. You have to keep it realistic. Be like, I'm going to do my part. I'll do my hard work and then we'll see how the outcome is. I'm not going there to win. I'm going there to prove to myself that yes, I can compete. And let's see how far I go. So next time I know, all right, this is my level. I can take it, level up. I can level up from there. Many people might not have the same mentality. They'll be like, oh, no, no, no. I'm a bit shy. I'm a bit scared. What will the outcome be? I'll lose. And many times that does happen. They face a negative outcome due to the fear, or even after taking on the responsibility. And then they can't manage their own psyche, which affects them a lot. And then it's a downward spiral. So it does
well,
come down to self.
no, go on.
So it comes down to a lot of, sort of how you self-manage your thoughts, how you manage those expectations. You keep it realistic. I don't say when I say realistic, I don't mean limit yourself. I don't mean limit yourself. I see realistic means what is the number one thing when we set goals? Smart goals, specific, measurable, actionable. You need to progress. You need to be able to track them. Dorian Yates, one of the best bodybuilders in the world, he had books and books and books of his workouts at what rep he was failing, what weight he was doing. Every single thing was documented. Every single thing. So you need to keep it real. You need to be able to measure what you're doing, because then if you're not able to do that, then you're not being able to manage your expectations, because input is equal to output. When there's no input, what output are you wishing for? You're putting in 3 days a week of work and you're expecting an outcome of 5 days a week of work. That's not going to happen. It's not realistic.
And I remember that you had a back injury, and yet you have stepped on the stage after. So I'm pretty sure that when you had the injury, you had a lot of fear and doubts through that process. Can you tell me of how you managed that? Like, how did you across that? Can you tell me the story behind it, please?
The fear of like after doing it or before doing it, the
Before doing
surgery.
it, like when you got the
The
injury.
surgery.
Yeah. And yeah.
Um, I think, well, obviously, when you go for a major surgery like that, of course you're scared because you don't really know the outcome. When you're in surgery, God, anything could happen, you know? But if you obviously keep it in your mind that everything's going to be okay, and I already had enough at this point because I had it for 10 years plus the pain and stuff. So I was like, you know what, like this is my last shot at, fixing my spine. So I didn't really think about anything. I was like, okay, just get it done. Like right now, I'm young and I'm fit, so my recovery will be, quicker. I'm also into fitness, so I won't have the mindset of giving up or being lazy or not recovering. So it's like for me, it was an easy choice. It wasn't really scary. It was just I had like that was my last option, and I was like, okay, we'll do it now because otherwise I'm still just going to have this issue of having a disc problem and not knowing if I could ever fix it myself. So, and I tried everything before, physio, injections, everything. So I was like, well, let's just do it and see. And then now it's been 2 years, and yeah, I did step on stage, and even though like I didn't win anything on this stage this time, it was more about showing other people that you're your own limit. You can do what you want to do. Like I had back surgery and I did still compete and I still did everything. I recovered within a year and now I'm like off season and I'm squatting back to 60 kilos. So, I mean, you are your limit. I'm very proud of myself and I don't talk about it like saying I'm so proud of myself. It's just, I want people to know that you can do anything that you set your mind to, literally. You have the resources, there's so many personal trainers, there's so many rehab specialists, there's so many physiotherapists, you know what I mean? Like, everything is around you that you need to recover. And even for me, I know a lot of people in the fitness industry, so it was like I was not worried. The recovery was obviously, it was painful, and I wasn't in a rush to recover. I gave myself a year, and then I stepped on a stage a year later. So it's more about just getting it done, like, and helping. Maybe I might help 1 or 5 people, change their mind or start the gym or, do the surgery and recover or do the rehab or, you just don't know who, because a lot of people watch you and you don't really know. So it's, if it's going to help anybody, then I'm happy. I've done my thing, my help. So, I mean, yeah, I am proud. I just don't like to blow my own trumpet sometimes.
I'd like to add to your voice. Yeah, well, I was saying, I was like, because after her back injury and everything, and now she's still going back to weights, and she's lifting decent weights, and you can see that somebody else with not such a strong mindset probably would go, yeah, and see, she's, how can I say, the progress is uh, specific. The progress is measurable. That she goes like, oh yeah, this time I did 65 for 3 reps. Last time I did 50 something for 6 reps. So she knows the number, she knows the weight. Now see, this is exactly what will show you the way that you know which side you're headed to. Somebody else with not so much discipline and not so much, what do you call, strong mentality, they might, first of all, not even want to go back to weights and gym because they've had a back injury, because they've had some sort of injury, and the fear has limited them. And they've just limited themselves because they couldn't manage the reaction to that initial reaction.